You were telling me yesterday after the show, Dave, that you slept in a homeless shelter before.
Yeah, I slept in a homeless shelter for about 5 straight days.
Now, these are two things I've known him for a couple years now. When did we first meet?
We met in 2000, I believe.
Really?
No. We met in 2001 because it was post 9/11.
Yeah. Space oddity. So at that point, you were already living in the homeless shelter?
Yeah, I had been there for a bunch of days.
When were you in the homeless shelter?
It was right around the giant Super Bowl of 2000. That's why I remember it so much. So yeah, it was January of I guess January 2001.
How did you find yourself down on your luck?
Well, okay, this is kind of embarrassing, but one day I was supposed to pick up my parents at the airport, and I just had a freak out because I knew that my report card wasn't going to go well. I had just gotten fired from my flower job, and I just had so much bad news, and I decided I'm not going to pick them up. Instead, I'm going to drive to New York and try to just be homeless, try to live in my car. So I drove to New York City. They had no idea what the fuck happened.
Now, when he told this story yesterday, Fez, he says to me and Pitsy, I ran away from home.
Yeah, I ran away.
And how old were you?
I was 23.
All right, 23, one does not run away from home. One should have left home years before.
Well,
so what was your report card? College?
Yeah, this is after I got kicked out of Fordham and I was attending the new school.
Right.
And not that my grades were, I stopped going to my Latin class.
Right.
Because it was retarded.
But the new school is like $30,000 a semester, something ridiculous, right?
Well, this was actually cheaper because it was the adult division.
Okay.
So it was like $1,000 per class, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, but still, yeah, I mean, they're still throwing $3,000 for the 3 failed classes that I had.
Okay, so you had a failed class, you were fired from dropping off flowers?
Yeah, I got fired.
What was the reason there?
I got into 2 accidents in the span of 14 days.
Right.
So that wasn't good. And one of them was just, one I didn't think was necessarily my fault. The other one was me backing up and just crushing this guy's new Mercedes windshield. Because it was a big van. And so she's like, we can't have this.
So you're driving, you've got your bad news for your parents, you got a bad report.
I'm fired.
You're fired.
I'm living in the basement at 23. And so I decided I'm just going to run away. I'm not going to pick them up.
So was it your car you took? Or what'd you do?
I put $1,000 on it, but I guess Daddy spent the other 17.
All right, so Daddy's car.
You should have taken the wrecked flower van.
My Toyota Corolla.
You decide to run off to the big city, much like the Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, right. It was very similar. I mean, I'm not gay, but...
Oh, yes, you are. Earl, give me that harmonica song from Midnight Cowboy. You know the one I'm talking about, right? It's just real sad, and it would be the background music throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So this was winter?
Yes, it was.
So not the best time to be heading to the city with no place to stay.
Not a lot of thought was put into it, apparently. Yeah, now, I didn't even bring any blankets or anything, which I definitely could have used.
All right, so you get into the city. How much money did you have on you?
I had about $17, $18.
All right, $17, $18.
Life savings.
So you come into the city, you're in Times Square with your little jacket, you're looking around, you're cold.
Yeah.
Suddenly you meet a little man with a limp who wants to show you the ropes, but he steals your money.
Right, well, that was Dustin Hoffman in the movie. I didn't meet him. And
I'm walking here!
Yeah. So
I feel like watching this movie right now.
It's a great film. So I'm there, and for a few days I stayed in the car. And I would
in the city
for a few days. And I would keep the heat on, and believe it or not, I would listen to a new show I had just discovered called RonFez.com.
You swear to God?
I swear to Jesus that the homeless thing is when I discovered your show because you were doing the overnights,
right?
And
this is the craziest story I've ever heard. So there you are. You're listening to your new buddies as you're freezing. Now that you know us, you could have just called us up and come up and slept on the couch. You know we do that for anybody, right?
I know. I should have thought
There's no way I would have let you sleep outside like an idiot.
I should have thought of that. And, I swear to God, too, and I'm just going to say this real quickly and then get off it.
Yeah.
You guys really did,
save your life.
Yes.
I hear it all the time.
Okay, so that's why I'm getting off it.
Now it's the hackiest line in the world.
Right. But I am a hygienic person, And so sleeping in my car 3, 4, 5 days, I started to feel greasy and everything like that. And I'm like, I really need to bathe. And I didn't have enough money for a hotel or anything. So I decided I'm going to go to the homeless shelter, which was, there was a homeless shelter I found by Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
And
Down on the Bowery.
Yes, that's where it was. And I went in there to shower. And first of all, that was an uncomfortable experience because it was me and, 10 other homeless gentlemen.
Where's that cheese whiz?
Staring at me nude because there's no stall doors. It's just like,
like a locker room.
Yeah, like a locker room. And when I got out of the shower, the person who ran the homeless shelter was like, "No, come on, stay over."
No, that's sweet.
And I was like, I have a car. And they're like, "Well, why would you?" I don't understand. And I go, "Well, I'm homeless, but I'm not because I have a car." But he insisted that I stay overnight. And he was like, "Well, you used our shower. You have to stay over now." Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that was part of the rules, so I had to stay.
It isn't part of the rules. He was just worried about you, kid.
So I stayed over, and I stayed on the top bunk. They had bunks all over, and it was not a pleasant experience.
So you're out, you're sleeping in the car, you're freezing. It's got to be January, February.
Yeah.
And you weren't calling anybody, no friends?
No. I didn't call anyone. Not anybody.
What did you do all day?
All day I would listen to the replay of the run. Swear to God.
Well, why didn't you, I don't know, go into stores or something?
Well, I'll tell you what I did. For the first few days or so, I literally just walked around, and there's only so much you could see of Central Park in the winter before you're just like, okay, I got to do something. So I actually applied and landed for a job at it was a Broadway, it was like a telemarketing thing for Broadway musicals. When people call all over the country looking for Broadway tickets,
right?
The place that I got the job at, that's how they would set them up. And believe it or not, I got to get a tour of all the Broadway theaters. I got to go behind
the scenes?
Yeah, behind the scenes.
So suddenly you're making it, Fievel. You're making it in this new world.
Please hold for the next Runaway. He'll take your ticket order.
Yeah, it was really exciting. And I was making, nice $10 an hour, which was $2 more than my flower job.
Right.
So I was pretty happy.
Suddenly now you're in the big city. You're starting to make some waves.
Yeah.
There's a new kid in town, and he's doing okay for himself.
Right.
So why did you crack?
Okay, so 17 days later.
So you were out on literally homeless for 17 days.
Yes. Yeah. In January, I had to watch the Super Bowl. In the homeless shelter with like two guys named like Bugsy and Max, and we were watching the Super Bowl together. It was the fucking weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
And you had to watch Baltimore.
I had to watch Ray Lewis catch Tiki from behind, and I was like, "This Super Bowl's over." And
shut up, kid! I'm trying to sleep.
And I was trying to talk football with the guys, and they were like drooling. They just they had no response.
They legitimately belong there, unlike you. Rich boy who's afraid to tell mommy that he's not doing well in school.
Exactly. So 17 days later, I'm looking through my wallet because I'm like, shit, is there anything I can do? Any cards I have? And I forgot that my dad had lent me his MasterCard a few months earlier to buy books for the upcoming school season.
Right.
And I just had forgotten to give it back to him. I put it back in my wallet. So all this time I had a credit card in my wallet. And I'm walking sleeping like a bum on the streets.
No, but your dad would have been able to find you immediately.
Well, that's what happened.
As soon as you used it?
I used it that's how I know about the St. James Motel on 45th.
That you hope to go stay in that?
That's how I found out.
By the way, you're acting like that you know about hotels in the city. You can't walk in the city without bumping into another hotel. There's got to be 1,000 of them.
No, I know that, but there's not 1,000 that you can go that night and spend $99 in the middle of Times Square.
All right, so when you used your dad's credit card, immediately they knew where you were.
The next day they found me.
Yeah.
And my brother Wally, the same brother who gave us these delightful helmets.
He's a good brother.
He came in like this because he thought I was going to freak. They thought I was going to freak out and go nuts and like be violent.
Yeah.
And now I was just like, I put up my hands. I'm like, you got me. And they were just like very freaked out, and I was freaked out for a little bit.
But can you imagine? I mean, your mom and dad, they have an adult retarded son that doesn't even let them know that he's safe.
Yeah, I know, it was terrible.
That's the bad part.
No, I know. It was a shameful thing to do. I totally know that. I mean, I could tell I just broke my mom's heart at that time. And so I truly felt bad about it. I
mean, the way that your mom's always thanking me for giving you a break and all, I cannot believe that for her to know that you're making, a steady income now, it's just got to be shocking. I know now why. I'm like, yes, okay, sure. I think, I gave the kid a job, whatever. But I had no idea what a loser you were leading up to this point.
Okay, all right. You could be a little more sensitive.
But I mean it. I mean, the 23-year-old runaway story is just so pathetic.
Well, I had to run away at that point in my life. And
I understand. I had 2 kids, so and a home. I understand why this would have been so confusing for you. I didn't call it runaway. I called it moving into adulthood,
evolving, becoming a human.
By the way, I had my own credit card, my own car.
I still don't have my own MasterCard, unfortunately. So they got me. And my brother got me, and they put me in the car. Mm-hmm. They drove me home.
Was just your brother by himself, or
just Wally? And my mom and my father.
They were all there.
Yeah, but my other 2 brothers, they were just
like, who cares what happened to Red?
He's gonna do it again. So they let me shower, put me back in the car, and drove me straight up to North Jersey, where I had to spend about a week in the in the nut hut. So
wow, and you never told me this story either.
No. I never did.
They put you inside because they thought you were crazy.
Yeah, they thought I was. They tried to check me for like bipolar and all that stuff, which they found out I don't have.
No, I don't know if they can even measure stupid. That's the thing that you have. It's just pure stupidity.
Yeah. What was the reason for putting you in the nut hut? I mean, because
it's an erratic act, Fezzy.
Okay.
The kid doesn't let his family know where he is. He's running around living in a homeless shelter when he has a giant house in North Jersey. He just didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
He was under their care. I mean, obviously he answers to them. That's why he ran away, because he couldn't tell them he did something bad.
Right. That's everything Ron said is 100% true. I didn't call. I didn't, they were like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
And they just didn't think that I was in my right mind. So
You're
they had to put.
I mean, if Fezzy disappeared from now and didn't call me for 17 days... Even though he's an adult, I'd be like, what the hell is going on? Has somebody kidnapped him? Has somebody killed him? Is he in some white slavery ring? A snowball dancing again downtown? What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So I can understand why they would do that. When you have a retarded son, it's got to be just embarrassing. Now, have you told Casey all these stories?
I thought I mentioned, I thought I did.
Yeah.
But
you can't have children, promise me. Seriously. Genetically, you're just so weak.
I'm not. It was just this once in a lifetime thing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm not going to.
You're about to go homeless again for 8 days without seeing anybody.
I'm not going to run away anymore. I promise. And I went to the mental hospital, and it was weird because at the place that I went to, they still were doing electroshock therapy. Didn't happen to me. I'm not going to say it did. But
medication time.
But they were giving me lots of medication.
Time. What kind of medication? Would just keeping you knocked down?
Yeah, it was blue.
So they just talked to you and just found out you're just stupid. You're not dangerous. You're not crazy.
Blue and orange pills. And then I was able to get my flower job back. And after hearing the Ron Fez show overnight, I decided... This is when I'd maybe like to go into radio.
It's the weirdest story, man.
Yeah, and from there, I decided I'm not going to go to this. I'm going to go to my local community college, which happened to have a professionally run public NPR-related station, and just so happened I got a job there.
But, I mean, just think of this. You're living outside like that, listening to this radio show. They put you in a nut hut, you get out. Eventually you become and you were on drugs that whole time.
Yes.
Eventually you become part of that radio show and marry a beautiful woman. Wait a minute. How could that even happen? It's almost like this whole thing is some kind of fantasy, and you're still in that mental hospital.
Oh, fuck.
And still on drugs. Because there's no possible way.
It's too far of a leap.
Oh boy,
This is very Vanilla Sky.
it
Like,
does.
maybe to break this, you're going to have to go to the top of a building and jump off. Because this whole thing is too made up. It doesn't even make any sense. How could that happen?
I thought it was real. Now I'm starting to get a little nervous here.
Here's John. John, you're on Fez. Go ahead, John.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Dave, I gotta know, did you spank it in the nut hut?
Yeah, I did. It took me
Excellent.
an hour and a half though when I had 2
of
hours
drugs?
leisure time. Yeah.
Straight jacket.
Yeah. Greg, you're on Fez.
Hey, run a snow cone.
Snowball.
Fez.
Sorry. Dave, your dad gave you $17,000 for the car. You had $17 in your pocket when you hit New York.
Yeah.
17 days after landing your Broadway job,
Holy shit.
they found you.
That's amazing.
Thing there?
Oh boy.
Only to end up marrying the 17-year-old Casey Elon.
I better stay away from the 17.
Or embrace.
I'm
or
cool.
else the whole thing's a lie, and you're such a bad liar, you just throw 17 at everything.
No, I swear to God, everything's true.
Jay, you're on Fez.
Hey, Ronnie, how's it going?
Good, man.
Hey, I miss Soundboard Snowball.
Me too. He was the best. The all-time best.
Hey, I just want to know how Dave paid for Ratso's funeral when they finally got to Florida.
Well, you did do a great job after Ratso pissed himself on the bus of getting him in some dry clothes.
I never met Dustin Hoffman. That's the movie you guys are thinking of.
Earl, how fast can you get that movie over here? I'm just depressed enough to watch it 30 times in a row.
You can find a video store around here. There's got to be a Blockbuster nearby.
I don't use Blockbuster.
There's no Blockbuster nearby.
I don't even think there's any Blockbusters left, is there? They seem like they're all going out of business.
I mean, I saw like one in Queens when I was there, but
Oh, sure.
it was barren.